when I came back from FMLA, I went to his office, and my assistant production manager at the time tried to demote me. So I had gotten off of FMLA leave. I had reported what was going on to HR, and it had such detrimental effects on me that I stopped showering, I stopped eating, I lost myself completely. I started and I was 151 pounds. And when by the time all of this had gone on, I was 123 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah. They took my lunch breaks away while they went up in their office and ate.
Mm-hmm. So you got no lunch breaks?
Nope.
That's, again, North Carolina employment law.
Salary based, they can do that to you.
Oh, really?
But what got me was they can do that to you while they go eat.
Right.
I got a problem with that. They got fat to burn. I don't. But I had reported some stuff to HR, and when I told her I'm starting to have suicidal thoughts because of how low I had gotten, and she even said, "You've lost a lot of weight. Are you doing it on purpose?" No, I'm not. Why the hell would I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months? It's insane. And I told her a little bit what was going on. Now, obviously, as an HR person, they cannot disclose what's going on. So she told the GM that I was just really stressed, which I don't blame her for. But when I came back from FMLA, I went up to our production office, and the assistant production manager told me to hang back. And then he told me that I was going to be working with someone inside the office for the time being until they found a place for me at this company, if there even was one. So when I asked him, am I not a DM anymore? He said, as of right now, no. So I went to the GM's office, and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, welcome back." Totally threw me through a loop. I said, "Hi." He said, "I'm sorry." I said, "For?" He said, "I just didn't see the signs, or I should have seen the signs." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, Dolores told me that you were really stressed." And I said, "Stressed?" I said, "I was suicidal." And he just lowered his head. And I said, "Actually, you know what? Can I come in?" Because clearly he had no idea what the hell was going on. And I sat down in that chair and I told him, I said, "I have been treated like this." And I just went into detail. You know what he said? He said, "Well, I want you to know that you can come to me for anything. And I'm sorry that, I just swept everything under the rug because I had so much of my own stuff going on that I didn't see it. And you came to me multiple times upset. And I had so much of my own stuff going on that I just brushed it aside." He said, "But you know what? You run the hell out of that department. There's numbers I haven't seen before. So I want you to go back out there and you continue doing what you're doing." I kid you not, my face. I said, you do know I'm not a DM anymore, right?" He said, "Since when?" I said, "Since like 10 minutes ago." He said, "By who?" I said, "By your assistant production manager." And I told him what he said. And I have never seen a man turn purple until then, but he was so angry, and he called the production manager into his office and he said, "Let me tell you something. He does not have the authority to make that decision. I had no knowledge that this was occurring." Well, no shit. You completely brushed everything under the rug. So right. He called the production manager in there and he told him what was happening. And he said, "You're going to go talk to your APM. And then when you're done with that, you're going to come in here and I'm going to talk to you."
Well, and I think there's levels of communication, and there's a hierarchy that companies have. So this person thought that they had some kind of hold to demote you, but all in all, that comes from HR. Is that not accurate?
No, it's ultimately the general managers say. Now, HR is there to protect the company from liability.
Right.
That's what they're there for. They cannot fire, they cannot hire, but they make sure that a company is legally protected. So, yeah.
And they were protecting the company against what you were telling them. They weren't even trying to help you.
I think that at that time she was, because when we had to do the investigation on the assistant production manager, The last statement I made to her was, I just spent months protecting this man's job,
Mm.
and he just tried to take away mine. I got a problem with that. I completely lost myself because of this. And he was terminated, thankfully, but apparently he had a reputation of sleeping around too, and had already been terminated from the company once for that, and was hired back at a lower level by the company and sent to the Nashville plant as punishment, being on timeout with the company.
Right.
So y'all couldn't have told me that when all this stuff was going on. He had a reputation of doing this type of stuff. Okay, now who's the liability?
Right. It sounds like there's a lot of gaslighting, a lot of turn the other cheek, a lot of I saw that, but I'm not going to speak up. And that essentially led to your.
People were scared to lose their job if they
Yeah.
spoke up, which clearly, as a result, I spoke up. Look what happened. But when I say I really don't think the GM knew, I really don't think he knew. But up to my last couple of days there, even he stopped talking to me. So it just, I don't know.
Well, and from that, I mean, because when I look at that, I consider that abuse. I mean, that's emotional abuse to tell somebody to shut the fuck up and get back to work, or get back on the fucking floor, get back to work. Them just throwing you out on the floor and not having any training. That's, and then just the way that they're talking to you, that's that's emotional and physical. You even mentioned that someone poked you on your bottom at work.
Yeah, he took a piece. Yeah, that was my assistant production manager. Before all this crap started, he would take like trim battens and poke me on my butt.
That's uncalled for. That I could see where, especially if you're trying to get your voice heard, right? You're going to people constantly and saying, hey, this is my experience, and nobody's doing anything about it. And
the way they've worded it was, I only showed the text messages that benefited me. So I generated a 2.5-year long paper trail. Like when I say I have 602 photos in my phone, along with numerous emails that I've sent, like there is no way that they can sit there and say we're not liable for what happened to this girl. Right. But instead they said, you did it to yourself.
So you had also mentioned that you have developed some kind of like anxiety and some kind of like post-traumatic stress from this job. Dive into that. Like what was your experience with that? How did they take that?
So I did get diagnosed with complex PTSD. I do also have an autoimmune disease. Before I started at Clayton, I have psoriasis, and I just had the skin issue. Yeah, fun stuff. But I didn't realize trauma to the body, like it gets stored in your body.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Yeah. And I kept having flare-ups where like I would swell, or I would get sick on my stomach. It would make my joints swell where I couldn't move. And it was always after they went so damn hard on me. And I kept thinking, I have an autoimmune disease, but I hadn't been to a rheumatologist yet to be able to say, like, I have psoriatic arthritis or lupus or something like that. I just knew I had a skin condition. Come to find out, I was experiencing so much trauma that was getting stored in my body that it was causing inflammation. It was causing all of these debilitating things to happen to me. And they just kind of tried to play it off as just having a flare up. So now that I know I have complex PTSD and what that actually entails, like I would pull up to the plant and have to call my mom while sitting in my car. Like, I need you to talk me through this. Help me get out of the car. And she would tell me, Katie, you have to go to work. Like, you have to get out of the car. We can't help you right now. You have to go to work. So I would coach myself. Get out. Just one step at a time. Turn the car off. Okay, you did it. Open the door. Okay, you did it. Get your stuff. All right, good. You're almost there. Walk to the gate. And while I'm walking to the gate, my legs would be shaking. My mouth would go dry. I'd have the cold sweats. My hands would swell. That was part of, I guess, the autoimmune thing happening. I developed psoriasis on body parts that I've never had it before. Like it just became it it was just debilitating.
It just spread.
It just spread. And then I got put on an anti-anxiety medication that I've never had to take before. And then I thought that I just really sucked so bad at my job that it was my ADHD causing it. So then they prescribed me a higher dose of Adderall. I don't need that crap. I
Right.
haven't taken that since I've stopped working there because I know who I am as a person. And then finding out what complex PTSD actually is and telling my doctors what's happening, it was to the point where the harassment and the retaliation got so bad, I had to have someone come help walk my dog. I couldn't even get up to let my dog out. I couldn't leave my apartment. I stopped showering again. I had to order groceries and have them delivered. And like I had to have my locks changed at my home. It felt like I was constantly being watched. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad.
I mean, that's no way to live. Yeah, that is traumatizing.
And guess what? The people that did that to me still work there.
So let me ask you this question, because there's hundreds of other companies around. Why didn't you just leave? It was causing you all this stress, all this anxiety. You were having medical issues from the situation. What made you feel like you needed to stay?
Who would want to hire someone that hyperventilates every time they leave their house? I had to coach myself just to be able to get to my car.
Well, in that moment, did you know it was the job giving you this anxiety, or did you just feel like you were just an anxious
I've
person?
never been like this before,
Okay.
ever.
So you knew the job was contributing to how you were feeling.
Yes. The job itself is probably like, it's so easy. It's the people, it's the culture. Warren Buffett, when he founded that company, and yeah, I'm going to say his name, one of the things he looks for when he hires people is integrity. It's literally a sign that's there that says integrity. And that's why I wanted to work for that company. It doesn't exist there. It doesn't. And it's like I told HR, this is going to affect me for the rest of my life. Who's to say that I'm going to have an employer that's going to take a chance on me now and see all my credentials and say, she's got what it takes. And I go there and I freeze. I've already been questioned at a previous interview that I just went to for a job. Well, it sounds like you have a little bit of PTSD. What's going to happen when you see these people? I've never thought about that.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, it just took me 3 months to be able to leave my house, to be able to go to the gym. And even then I have to have somebody with me.
Wow. I mean, that's it. And you know what? Like, I don't want you to feel like you're on a lily pad by yourself, because I know there are other people out there that have had they may not have had the very same experience, but they may have had very similar experiences with being bullied in the workplace or mistreated or talked down to like that or hazed or in some occasions there's workplace violence,
Mm-hmm.
And there are avenues to be able to seek help. And it, unfortunately, because they terminated you, they've also terminated your health benefits, so you can't go seek help. Isn't that correct?
When I started getting bad off again, because like I said, the people that did this to me still work there, and I was stuck working side by side with the people that got me to this mental state. Even though I asked repeatedly, please demote me into a different position. I was begging for a demotion just to be able to get into the office and out of that plant, away from those people, give them what they want. But instead it was, we don't see it fit. Well, corporate already offered me that job. So why is it now not a good fit that I've made a protected complaint? No, they did that crap to me on purpose. They watched me. This time they really watched just me fall and deteriorate. And I've done lost my train of thought.
Well,
thinking about it just makes me go blank.
I mean, this is a lot of information. It's been the last several years that you've been experiencing, all of these negative experiences at a